Today on Locked On Rockies, another history-making day for the Colorado Rockies. The fourth worst start, well, one of four teams, I should say, to start 4-24.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 29th day of April in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holton, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Today on the Locked On Rockies podcast, we're of course going to talk about the Rockies dropping to 4-24, and we'll just start off with a tweet here from Manny Randawa here on X, and that is this: the Rockies have become the fourth team since 1901 to start the season 4-24 or worse. We follow that up with: the Rockies have fallen 20 games under 500. This is from Fox Sports MLB after the first 28 games of the season. By comparison, last year's White Sox team was only 16 games under 500 through the first 28 games of the season. That just goes to show you that, again, the Rockies are on pace and continue to track to be one of the worst baseball teams of all time. And we'll see if it brings out change, because I do want to revisit, there is a certain quote that we will remember about the spring training, and I want to revisit something about that. And of course, it's what we saw again was a brief flash of offense, right? First inning is something that, wow, hey, this might be a situation in which a Braves team that has struggled this year comes into Coors, Rockies jump out ahead, and then it's crickets after that. There's a little bit of elements and a little bit of bad luck in yesterday's game with some added weirdness, but it's not enough for us to just take away from everything. We're going to dive into that and more on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But before we do that, did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. So last night, it's looking like one of the first signs of the Rockies actually getting into a groove there on offense and going after a pitcher and doing damage. It starts with, we get not only the 3-run bomb from Hunter Goodman, but Ryan McMahon picks up a walk there and sets the stage. And the Rockies started showing off by doing a little bit of the right things, showing that they can get things going and immediately putting the pressure on the Braves. A crooked number, a 3 spot in the third is exactly what you're looking for on how to get things started. But then it just the usual bad habits. Offense skunked for the rest of the game. There were opportunities, there were situations, but the Rockies unable to hold on as they continue to get just dink-dunked, cut by. It was so classic to watch in the game yesterday. The lead unravel because 2 balls didn't travel more than 20 feet. I think Drew Goodman pointed out on the broadcast yesterday, and this was, I think, in the middle of the game, so it might have changed by the end. But nearly half or close to half of the Braves' hits in that game were all hit under 70 miles an hour. The Rockies continue to just the ball either through errors and the defense not being anywhere close to what we thought there was going to be, mixed with just the ball finding its way into the exact right spots. And then you got Ryan Feltner out there battling through back spasms and back injuries towards the end of it, where things, and you start really questioning, like, with the health and the issues with the Rockies, is that the right type of move? Obviously, you want to see Feltner, power through and tough it out, but with the with the limited amount of resources that you have when it comes to depth, was that the right type of move? All it is to say, again, the Rockies, it's not enough to have a little spark of an offense there, a little fizzle here, and get something going. It needs to become consistent throughout the game. You can't allow yourself to just to start hot like that, to put the pitcher on the ropes there, and then it falls. It not only does it fall apart, but it just ends up not doing much. Bryce Elder coming back there and ending up going 6 innings in that game, but then he ends up striking out 4 batters and gets, according to ESPN here, his season high for innings as well. So in what looked like a start that the Rockies might be able to really start unlocking the Coors Field impact, instead it's just a fizzle, it's a pop, it's wow, hey, okay, there we go, there's an inning, there we go, that's something. But instead it all just falls apart, and even with some threatening there towards the end with an interesting 8th inning, still nothing. Good to see Ryan McMahon go out and take some walks in yesterday's game as well, trying to getting himself on base as he's continuing to go and make go through what should be or what is a horrendous season for them. But it is just, what more is there to add at this point? It was an offense that was limited, had a moment. Hunter Goodman, Jordan Beck contributing there, the 2 guys that have been doing stuff on this Rockies offense, but plain and simple, it's just there's no way out of this other than winning, other than adjusting, other than doing something different, finding out a different approach and getting yourself there. Mixed with the Rockies are just going to have to go through, as they mentioned, they are going to have to go through it when you look at the extent of these injuries and who's missing from this roster. But I do think that there is a point where, as let's see, Randy here says, the injuries is just an excuse. There's no drive or seemingly a desire to get better. Stallings' interview on the radio just showed us no energy, and the statement of "we hope to do well" is pathetic. They are an embarrassment because they are not embarrassed by their lack of effort. And I think there's a level of embarrassment there. I think if you're a professional athlete and you're experiencing what the Rockies are experiencing, if you're experiencing what the White Sox experienced, if you're experiencing what the Cleveland Browns experienced, when they went winless in the NFL, and you can point to many other examples of that. But unfortunately, sports doesn't really care about embarrassment, right? Like it doesn't really care if you come out on the professional stage and if you're not ready to go, if you're not prepared, if a team is better than you, you're going to see it, you're going to experience it, you're going to go through it. I mean, the Cavaliers didn't back off the Miami Heat after rubbing them in that finale of the game in the NBA playoffs last night. So in a world that embarrassment only has so much room to be a factor, right? For you in the world of professional sports. If you don't want to be embarrassed, if you don't want to be part of there's multiple ways if you don't want to be part, of course, if you want to force your way out of situations, but the only way to stop feeling embarrassed, the only way to stop feeling down on yourself, the only way to stop making the wrong type of history is to improve, is to win. The Rockies aren't going to be given any free passes. The Rockies aren't going to be given anything in order to start getting better. No one's going to start treating the Rockies are now the team where everyone is licking their chops, as we've said many times, to bounce back. Because the Reds just came into town, swept away the Rockies, and now they're restarting themselves back in the NL Central. And right now, if the Braves end up with a sweep, they're going to be back at 500. Exactly the type of series and exactly the type of thing that they're looking for right there. it doesn't matter. You can be embarrassed, you can be disappointed, you can be anything, but it truly doesn't matter. It won't do anything until it leads to an adjustment and change. And that includes what these guys need to do in the cage, what these guys need to do off the field. They have to start going. There's no other way. Because I believe there was another commenter. I don't think it was on our section. I believe I was checking out the Rockies Reddit. You can't forfeit the season. And if you want to avoid being worse than the team last year that was considered to be one of the worst teams in baseball history, then you have to show that you're not that. And for nearly a month now, the Rockies have shown that they are one of the worst teams in baseball. If not, well, not one of the worst teams, the worst team in baseball, a historically bad team in baseball, one of only 4 teams since 1901 to start 4-24 or worse. It requires a whole lot of change. And I just don't know how confident we will be in seeing any of that. Because before, we've seen the Rockies go down this path the last 2 years, especially. And actually, this is a pretty good point. Comment here from let's see, is this Teresa? Am I seeing? Yeah, Teresa here. The Rockies will never hit rock bottom, which was the title of yesterday's pod, because they got a rock busting drill, and they can keep blowing through your lowest form of expectations and continue to dig themselves in a deeper and deeper hole that we really truly don't know how they're going to get their way out of, because the people that need to direct them out of this hole, the confidence is at an all-time low in their abilities to get it done. It's not just the players who have to go through this slog. It's the coaches, it's the front office as well. Just as much as there's going to be growing pains for young guys and this experience, there are continued pains from the organizational side that continue to be a problem. And I want to go back to the Mark Kisla piece from the spring here, and I just want to I just want to see if how we are feeling on this, how we're feeling when this is. Do we actually buy into this? And I want you to stew on this here while we head into break as we go into segment number 2. This is what Dick Monfort told Kisla here of the Denver Gazette in the spring when they were watching the game together. Offended in the past when I suggested he should sell the Rockies to a mega billionaire owner with deeper pockets and a fatter wallet, Monfort was calm and reflective when asked this time why he puts himself through the torture of trying to win a championship, knowing the playing field is tilted in favor of the Dodgers. Every season, especially the last 2 frustrating seasons, you say, I'm going to get out of this business. Then the season is over and you find very little happiness when not at the ballpark or watching a game. I mean, I love sports. I've always loved sports. So I don't know why I do it. My wife asks me all the time why I do it. A lot of people ask. Monfort emphasized he wants to hang in, if no other reason than to do right by longtime loyal Rockies employees. Retirement doesn't sound especially appealing to a man like himself who thrives on work. So I pressed him, and this is Kisla talking again, trying to ascertain if he might actually get serious about stepping aside as CEO or soften his long, adamant opposition to selling the team. Catch me again in July, Monfort says. Well, what about April, at the end of April, and what about May, as your team's facing a historically bad start and have become quickly a laughingstock of baseball? Let's talk about that and more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving is 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. If you don't want to make a big mess at work, or maybe you want to just on the go, maybe you're in the transit, maybe you're someone that's got to take a train or bus on your way to work, Well, skip the shells and get the no shells variety so you can enjoy that simple and easy snack on the go. But don't worry, if you love that feeling of cracking, open the shells. They got plenty of delicious varieties of flavors for you to enjoy. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, wonderful pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. That's 6 grams of protein in every 1 ounce serving. Protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com. Locked On Rockies here, back for the second segment of the day here on today's episode as we are continuing to react to the Rockies falling to the Braves. But again, we ended that last segment there with the quote from Dick Monfort saying about, if anything will change, if those frustrations will ever boil over, if that will actually lead to something happening as big as Monfort stepping aside as CEO or entertain the idea of selling the team. And I think I want to start with the concept of selling the team. And I will never stop you from saying it. In fact, it's just because if you look behind that TV, if it was actually there is a shirt that says sell the team on it. I just don't know if holding on hope to that is going to be the thing that keeps you afloat. If you're a Rockies fan and you make a decision that you're done and you're not doing anything until it changes and you separate yourself, I think that's makes more sense than people that will try to talk themselves into something is going to change, something is going to be different within the organization and with the people who are running it. I really just don't see a world in which the Monforts sell. I mean, it doesn't matter with the team being as bad as it is, and it's not like here when people are going to point to attendance and stuff like that. Yes, it'll be higher, but attendance has been declining recently, and if you're looking at it, it's certainly not doing well in the early seasons, and the Rockies will benefit from school getting out in the summer and popular teams coming into town. That'll always be a benefit for the team. But I really truly don't think that there's much of an incentive for him to sell outside of it. I don't necessarily think that being a bad baseball team has ever been incentive enough for him to really consider change. On the flip side, though, about Monfort's role, about CEO, about being hands-on, about all that stuff does have to be reevaluated. And if he's already frustrated, if he's already over the crying foul at remember how it's all the Dodgers' fault in this piece that he highlights again. And the name of the piece, if you're looking to go for the flashback again from earlier in the spring, is the Mark Kisla, Rockies owner Dick Monfort urges MLB to adopt salary cap to combat Dodgers runaway spending. This was about a month and a half ago, March 12th, when this was published here in the Gazette. And the Rockies have only played the Dodgers 3 times. It's not just the Dodgers that are better than you. It's every other team, and it's the rest of baseball, and it's the fact that you've created what is essentially a laughing stock. The front page of ESPN, it just paints a picture of how hard it is to pitch at Coors Field for 30 years. Yet the Rockies can't score on offense, can't do anything. So they've never truly really unlocked any of the uniqueness that happens in their environments. And if Dick Monfort's actually serious about being frustrated about a possible tipping point and breaking point, I don't think we need to wait until July. I'd like to hear sooner rather than later. I'd like to start hearing from the organization about just how bad this is going for them and what the plans are to remedy it. But as we mentioned that the Rockies have made, 2 changes during the season. That's what the commenters pointed out to me. But how long? I mean, you can sit there and wait until July and try to make you for your decision to be made. And again, this was a comment made before the season started and before everything happened. But when does the evaluation start? When does the internal reflection look in and say, this problem is bigger than just the Dodgers and other teams spending money and and baseball not doing anything about it? It's deeper than that. It comes in. It's the my belief, my approach, my philosophies as Dick Monfort. I'm so confident that it's going to work. I'm so confident that in my people. I'm so confident in how we've done it. We have to keep sticking with it. And what sticking with it for now 6 years has done is six going on 7 straight losing seasons of baseball, following up your back-to-back postseasons. And on top of that, it's historic bad. It's constantly how many times, how many records, bad records do the Rockies want to set or match or become the 4th team to do this or yada, 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 until this team actually takes a serious look at itself and really make changes. I don't really know how many changes the White Sox made last year, if I'm being honest. I can't remember everything that happened in the wake of their season, and they're a team that also has quite the history when it comes to ownership as well. I just think that this comes down to it's not just one thing. The Rockies, if Ryan McMahon gets going, that's going to help the Rockies. And if Kyle Farmer and Nick Martini can be the veteran bats to build around the guys and actually, and contribute, sure, the Rockies can start winning a couple more ball games or here and there. But it's not going to change anything at a deeper level, at a bigger level. And it's hard to sit here and actually have any expectations of what might happen when things go so bad, because things have gone so bad for 2 seasons in a row and nothing's happened. Nothing's changed. A couple of personnel changes, some smaller things that here and there, but the Rockies really, truly haven't shown us that going through something like this actually will lead to big time change within the organization. And until this team understands and realizes that their approach and what they're doing is flawed, then I have no expectations for things to turn around for the Rockies anytime soon. The people in charge, the people making the decisions, the people building the team are not putting themselves and the team in the best position to win. And that does include navigating the injuries. It includes actually developing prospects. It includes going out and getting free agent talent that's going to contribute to your team with smart deals. It's understanding and knowing when to make trades with your players and understand that their inconsistencies are a bigger deal. And instead of waiting to see what can happen and just banking off of the same thing and banking off players to perform when there's warning signs about them, nothing's going to change. I wish I could sit here and believe in the calls for a change to happen within the organization. But when have we seen that anything? When have we seen any reason for the Rockies to change their mind and to not be hyper loyal to the people in the organization? I wish I could say that this horrendous start and the last 2 years have meant big change is going to come to the organization, but it hasn't. And I really don't think this bad start is going to lead to anything drastic either. Because right now, any possibility should be on the table. Any possibility should be on the table. And that might include trading some players. I doubt they would, but it could mean trading of a Brenton Doyle or something like that. Because as we'll read in some YouTube comments, where's the value of the players you're going to get anyway? There's a lot of missteps and a lot of swings and misses, not only on the field, that have led to where the Rockies are. But I do wonder if already frustrated Dick Monfort is getting extra frustrated by a historically bad start to the season, and if that actually might mean it's time to bring some change to the Rockies. But if I'm being honest, not really overall confident that that's going to happen. Your comments coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But first, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. Boy, oh boy, it is the heat of the playoffs in both the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel has got you covered throughout the playoffs and more, all on their super easy-to-use and secure app. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets. If your bet wins, that means you just got to place something simple, something easy, something you're confident is going to hit. And then, boom, there you go, $250 in bonus bets. And that means you can get in on the props. You can get on the same game parlays, or you can fire up the app when games are live and get in on some of the action there. FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today at FanDuel.com. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And Rockies fans, not excited by what is going on here. A lot of Rockies fans tuning in here and letting me know what's on their mind here. Let's go down here and let's here's what Just Joshin says. Yes, they should tear it down to the studs. However, it's hard to tear it down to the studs when you let the guy who could get you a return just leave the house without collecting rent. Letting Trevor Story, DJ, John Gray, and so many others leave without getting any return doesn't allow you to do it. Not trading Marquez before the injuries by convincing yourself that you're a couple of breaks away is not acceptable. Not trading Daniel Bard because it would hurt his mental health. Not disparaging mental health, but he is a professional athlete, when it would have given you a couple of prospects to get the fans excited for. It's all laughable. They're not going to trade anyone. They don't have anyone to trade outside of maybe Brenton Doyle that would net any sizable return. They also won't have any draft picks to show for being the worst team in MLB history. They are stuck being the worst franchise in sports. Yes, I think it's that serious. They are the most unserious franchise in sports. And that's great. I mean, and it's crazy to think that over the last 3 seasons, it's created what does feel like the Rockies being. There's always been problems with the way the Rockies have run, but they've always gotten lucky enough. They've had enough lucky breaks. They've had Coors Field and enough to kind of break up that worst team in sports label. Now, thank goodness the White Sox exist, right? I mean, and that's the only team, and some of these other teams that do crazy things, but still pans out for them. I still don't know if. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard not to feel like it's hard not to feel like it's not the worst team in all of sports at this point. I do think there might be some other examples in other sports that maybe I'm not so familiar with, but the last couple of years, I mean, that's really it. There's a large mountain of evidence to point to the Rockies being terribly run. Ryan says, D-backs fan here. I like the Rockies. I feel bad for him. Well, you can enjoy a lot more winning baseball in a fun Arizona team there. Let's see here. What else do we got, man? There's a lot of comments here. Let's see. Colorado Moto Adventure says, trade away almost every good player we've ever had for no one. Brian is washed. I'm 100% sure I could run this team better. We haven't even traded that many players for as much as we could, even as just Josh and says there. Here's what Cassidy has to say. To respond to what you said, and great seeing you as well, Cassidy. To respond to what you said about the local broadcasting, I haven't really thought about it since you asked on yesterday's show, but thinking about how many places and restaurants and great spots I've been during the games, I can confidently say that the Rockies are not shown as much as you'd expect. With the Nuggets and Avs doing well, I think they take priority over the TVs, but even other baseball games being shown seems to be more common. It could have something to do with the changing to the streaming options, like you mentioned, but I've seen more Yankees and Dodger games in public than I can keep track of. The area right around Coors show the games, but you're already so close to Coors that I don't think it counts. Yeah, and that was in my response to my question. And please, I'm still curious about this if you've made it this far. Please let me know if you see the Rockies on TV anywhere, because there were other comments that say the same thing. The Rockies, and of course, why would they be? But I'm just saying, not even third TV on mute in the back of the restaurant where only two people can see it. That's part of the problem too. That's part of that all factors into this. And so it's being that irrelevant and not being interesting enough to start getting, places to start buying into and supporting the team through the streaming service, that matters, especially on their end when it comes to their money and their finances as they continue to cry foul and cry poor. Cody Thompson just is sad with the frowning face. Marco says, for what it's worth, the 1988 Orioles started the season 0-21, but did manage to get something going and finish the season 54-107. Not bad considering their start and that they finished the season losing 8 of their last 9. That's it. At least there is that one thing, right? There's still over 100 games left to be played. There's still so much baseball ahead that certainly the Rockies can start putting a good stretch of baseball together in 2025. But we'll have to see. Because when you're a team that's on a worse pace than a team that than the White Sox last year, and when you're a team that the injuries have piled up as much, and when you just look at the overall quality of the roster and the fact that the Rockies need, prospects and young guys to develop and grow through their care and through their development system as well, I still I'm holding my breath about the Rockies, really, because to finish up and to finish up on that note there here, I want to read one more tweet from Manny Randall here. Here's this. Oh, so since 1901, actually since 1900, not 1901. I didn't see the new version there, but anyway, Manny Randall says this: 4-24, and after the Braves leave town, the Rockies' next 29 games are against teams that are currently above 500. I mean, that's it. I mean, we broke down the schedule here. We talked about the schedule. We knew how bad it could get for the Rockies. We didn't think it was going to get this bad. But when it comes to the talent and the schedule that the Rockies played, they had no time for these long stretches if they wanted to be relevant this year. And instead, the bottomless pit still feels like we're falling right there. And how like in a movie where we're falling backwards and we're like, whoa! But you can still hear, the scream as we're falling because we're still falling. Because as we saw, they blew right through rock bottom. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. We had a lot more comments. Keep them coming. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you think the solution will be. And let me know how you're hanging in there, folks, because we got a lot of Rockies fans still doing their best to try and hang in there as the Rockies are still looking for their 5th win of the season. We'll be breaking it all down right here on Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out our pal Sully on Locked On MLB, or keep up with all things Colorado sports with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.